we are with a very special guest.
Oh boy.
Mr.
You
Seung
might
Kim.
have to start over.
What?
You gotta give it like 5 minutes.
Oh.
Or so, but, I mean,
Oh, really?
he keeps.
Oh, I get you, because it's recording, but it's not necessarily transferring.
Okay. So when do we know it's actually start transferring?
Oh, it's on.
Oh, okay.
All right. Take 2. Here we go. This is Multitap. We're at Nerdvana Coffee again. We are here with a very special guest, Mr. Seung Kim.
Nice to meet you, everyone. Hi.
As you know, I'm press start. We have Mujin. He's over there. He's busy getting everything working as he always does. And yeah, so we are here today to talk about this game, this beautiful game right here, Pocahontas for the Sega Genesis, which was released, I think 1996, but it was being developed during 1995, during the same time when Pocahontas the movie came out. Oh yeah, here, sorry, the laptop is over here. Yeah, so just to get this started, before we actually start playing the game, because you know, I think it's a challenging game. How hard do you think Pocahontas is when you were playing it?
It's not designed for like really hardcore gaming anyway, so I don't think it's gonna be that hard.
Well, that surprises me, because from what I remember playing it, it was pretty challenging. But
well, then again, you're asking the person who actually made the game, so like I know every nook and cranny.
Well,
maybe that's one of the things.
Well, no, I hear that a lot of our developers, you know, it's like they have to play the game over and over. So did you actually do a lot of testing on this game, or?
We actually have to test it, so make sure that all the animations play correctly and everything that we design or the puzzles and stuff actually play out perfectly. But you know, the Funcom did an amazing job and they translated really well. So, I mean, every time we're looking at it, we're just in awe. It's like, oh my god, our thing is.
I'm sorry, people are saying hello to
oh,
you
hi!
right now.
Hi, everyone. Hi.
Who is that? Jimenez or Zelia?
Oh, he's my buddy. He's buddy from my old company, N-Space. Yay!
All right. Oh, I'm sorry.
Hi, Jim.
No, it's cool. Let me get this.
Do questions cost jiggies? No, they do not cost jiggies. We may not be able to answer every question, but yeah, if you have answers for Seung or about
questions,
the game.
If they have a question, not answers. Well, Jim probably know the answer.
Right.
Press start is repeating backward.
Hey, I mean, I don't blame him, but
Okay.
good to see you, Seung. How's it going?
Pretty good, pretty good. How you doing?
Not too bad. Ready to learn about this Pocahontas game
Yay!
here.
I'm so happy that you guys actually choose to play this game. It's like over 20 some odd years ago, and I don't know people still play this game or not.
Oh, Dale, you don't want to be. I think you should be where everyone can still see you.
All right. I'm not in the way of you guys seeing the question.
Well, yeah, move over here to the middle. Sorry.
Careful the table, the wires.
Yeah, that's good. Can you guys see all of us? Okay. All right, good. Hey, what's up, Coffee? Good to see you.
Hello, Coffee.
But yeah, I'm just
I'll
when
scoot
people
over.
bring this this game's kind of underrated. It seems like, as far as it's just not a game that a lot of people know about, and like I guess there was a Super Nintendo version that was in the works at some point, but that ended up not happening.
Yeah, I think this was first one was like Genesis first, and then I didn't even know they're actually making a Game Boy game out of this one too. So I guess it was released as well. I don't know how close it is. If you guys get a chance to find a Game Boy version of this one, I would love to check it out.
So yeah, I don't think we ever played that Game Boy one. I saw that they had that, but yeah, I've never tried it out. I don't know if it's similar to this one or not.
Yeah, Wikipedia said there was one, so I'm like, wow, that's news to me.
Oh wait, question from Robbie. I have a question. Why is the art in this game so fantastic?
Aww.
Great question.
Thanks, Robbie.
Keep those excellent questions coming. And Daniel, if you could scoot over a bit. I'm trying to figure out a good way to do this. Yeah.
I thought our good friend Dave said the frame was good.
It is good. It's just
Maybe go
you know
over
what?
here.
I'm gonna get in there, Mom.
Yeah, go over here.
Is that good?
There you go. Then you have a clear shot of the monitor.
And we can move the camera a bit.
Yeah. And
Sorry, guys.
We're all professional here, so. Yeah, I mean, you could frame me out because I'm still, you still have a space here, so. Yay!
Yeah, me and
Thank you, Robbie.
me and Dion are gonna have to share a mic.
I could
tonight.
talk about why the graphics so awesome. Wow, so many questions coming. I don't, I don't even have time to answer this question. Holy cow. So what was my role in the game? I was the character designer and storyboard artist. So we actually wrote down the whole list, and some of these questions we'll go through the whole entire question we made first, and then if I still haven't answered your question, then you can ask me again, and then I'll go over that. How about that? Because the question is coming out so fast, I need to find out what the question was before. So go ahead, start from the beginning.
So I guess, Seung, can you briefly describe your work history?
Okay, so I'll go quickly. So I start at Walt Disney Feature Animation Florida, 1996, after my Disney internship, and stayed there until 2005. So I worked on Pocahontas, of course, and Tarzan, Mulan, Lilo and Stitch, Brother Bear, Emperor's New Groove, Hercules, Hunchback of Notre Dame. So I did get a chance to work on the feature film as well as working on the video game. And 2005 to 2007, I was working on Project Firefly. That's a small company, people who came out of Disney Feature Animation. We made a small studio, and then we worked on Curious George, the movie. And I actually get a chance to work on Simpsons, the ride for the Universal Studio. We did
nice.
like a project demo for it. So I modeled Simpsons and whole family and the house and all that. So that was pretty
awesome.
cool. And then starting 2007 till 2013, I was at Endspace, and I worked on a lot of movie franchise, like Disney franchise games. So I worked on Hannah Montana, the movie
Nice.
game, for like every SKU possible. PS3, Xbox, what was it? PS3 and Xbox 360?
360.
Yeah, and Wii version as well. So and DS also. And there, other than Pocahontas, Hannah Montana, I worked on Toy Story 3 for DS and Tron for DS. So I worked on many different type of games at Endspace. And now I'm at Gearbox. This is my 4th year at Gearbox, and I worked on Battleborn, and I'm working on the next Gearbox games.
Awesome.
All right, so that's a quick summary of what I've been doing.
I guess real quick, Jazz is asking, did you meet Phil Collins? I don't know who Phil Collins is, but
Phil Collins usually hang around in California studio, so we're at the Florida studio. So feature animation has a different dynamics. They actually have several studio back then. So Florida studio was one of the studio, because that's where all the other part of the animation was done. So we'll cooperate together. So they'll start on one scene and we'll start on another scene. So we'll kind of meet in the middle, kind of thing. So a lot of music, recording, and voice casting was done in Burbank, California, and Disney Feature Animation California. So Phil Collins, he has a house in California, so I'm sure he hang around there. During the rap parties, he did come and play music, but it happened in California. So Florida rap party, I didn't get a chance to see him.
okay.
But then again, so there are some other people that I met Mr. Miyagi.
Hey, that's something.
Yeah. So,
wait, sorry.
Pat Morita. Yeah, Pat Morita was the actor's name.
No, I'm just saying that would excite certain people in the chat.
Yeah, because when we were working on Mulan, he was the Emperor's voice. So he came to Florida to do the voicing. Because like Mulan was completely done in Florida. So we did have some California help, but it was designated to finish in Mulan. Was designated to finish in Florida studio only. So we actually had like a lot of voice cast people came up. Ming-Na was there. We met Ming-Na as well. Ming-Na Wen, she was the voice for Mulan. And we actually got a chance to meet Pat Morita, as well as I can't remember the actor's name. He was in the Asian scientist in the Jurassic Park.
I would not know.
Yeah,
unfortunately.
yeah, he was the voice of Shang. So
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
so
Awesome.
there you go. Well, anyway,
So we have some quick questions I think we can get through because they're I think they're troll questions. Dragmeyer asks, "Can we get this guy to replace Dave?"
aw, no.
You can't replace Dave, right?
No, Dave wore me a chicken nugget, so.
And Mungo wants to know, what are your thoughts on Boogerman for the Sega Genesis being the lost Disney game? I don't think that's pertinent. Hello, Mungo. Good to see you, but come on, let's keep it serious, guys.
Was it Disney?
Boogerman?
No, I don't think so.
It is not even.
No, okay.
Not even close.
Yeah.
Oh, Lemmings. Shrimp says, "Sung, I like your hat."
Oh, thank you.
Nice compliment there.
Thank you.
All right,
thank
so
you.
what was your role in the Pocahontas film?
Actually, once I finished the Disney internship, so we have to wait until Disney call us back to be hired as a cleanup artist or whatever. I mean, it's an entry position anyway. So I got hired as a cleanup artist at the beginning, but my friend actually, the answer to this question, I was a cleanup artist in the beginning. So cleanup artist is basically when you see the rough animation comes through. Animators does really rough drawing of an animation, character moving this and that, and cleanup artists will go in and make sure those characters turn into a fine line drawing, and it will contain all the animation that it requires to have, follow through of the hairs and all that stuff, and then we actually have to put it all in model so it'll look like one person did it from all throughout the picture. So that was the department that I was in.
Okay, awesome. So I guess what led to your involvement on this game that we're playing now, Pocahontas on the Genesis? I guess what was kind of the history there? What steps led to you getting to work on this?
So when I got hired at Pocahontas for a cleanup artist, some of my internship friends, they were already working on the different department at the feature animation. So there's a division in Disney Feature Animation Florida called Animation Services. What they do is basically if Disney requires any kind of licensing or Disney animation need to be done for the park or any ride or something, that they get the hold of it. So Disney video game Aladdin actually did a really good job. So everybody loved the Aladdin video game. So they actually wanted to branch out. So every feature movie they will have a video game made. So Animation Service got involved, and they were actually working on Lion King during my time that I was on the Pocahontas. So while Pocahontas movie is happening, they're actually finishing up Lion King, and they need to review the animation assets they put it in. But people weren't good enough to play the game. So my friend know that I'm playing video game all my life and I love my video games. So he asked me, can you come down here and play the games for us? Because we cannot see our animations because we keep dying. We don't know what to do.
Right.
So I actually went down, played the Genesis ROM, version of Lion King, and starting from the beginning till the end, and they videotaped the whole thing. So they could review the animation and make sure it plays right and the colors correctly and all that stuff. So that's how it began. And then the head of the animation service department, Paul Carassi, thank him very much. He actually offered me a job. So transfer me from feature animation to work on animation services. So we'll work on a video game related project. And on top of this, I could get a chance to work on the feature animation as well. So I'm getting best of the both worlds. So that's how everything started.
Oh, awesome. I'm seeing a lot of good questions and people hopping in. Hi again to everyone. I would just ask, if you have questions, make sure you kind of save them somewhere, because we do have a set of questions we want to get through first. But as soon as we do that, then we'll kind of open it up to a more freestyle Q&A.
Sure.
But, okay, so you're credited in this game as doing the character design and development. What did that role entail, and is there more that you contributed to the game that you weren't necessarily credited for?
Okay. So Pocahontas video game had a lot of producers. We have a producer for our animation services, Disney Feature Animation Services, and there's a producer from Disney Interactive, and then there's a producer from Virgin Interactive, and there's another producer from Funcom, which they put the games together. So all these producers got together, and they all came down to Florida because animation services actually located inside the MGM Studio. The feature animation Florida was an MGM Studio back then.
Mhm.
So they love to come to Florida, of course. And we had a lot of meetings and stuff. So during those meetings, all the producers think about the gameplay, level design, all that stuff. We're locked in a room. We talk about each level design and following up the Pocahontas movie storyline and try to convert that into the video game element. So how the Act 1 will translate into the level 1 and all that stuff. So what I do is basically listening to all their conversations, since I'm an artist and I know how to play game and I know how the game works. So I basically jotting down all their notes and combining them into a viewable workbook. Instead of writing, actually wanted to show them how Pocahontas to really interact with the environment, and then showing the puzzle so people could see it when they see it and they know what exactly it is. So we have an example. So if you could
Okay, sure.
bring me. So I brought some of the stuff that I worked on,
Oh, sorry.
and I don't know, you guys actually have it on a computer or
We
you
do, and
you want me to just
I
show?
don't know. Would you be okay with us maybe, or you could tweet them out later, so if people want to get a closer look,
Sure.
we could do that. But for now, I guess I could switch to a full camera view if we want to kind of take a break and look at these real quick.
Yeah. Sorry. Good idea. Yeah, these are really cool. What he has here.
I don't know, you can see this or not. We can show you this part right here. So basically these are the examples of what I draw. So we have a big whiteboard, and then all the producers writing their ideas and drawing it out and how the Pocahontas will do this and do that. So I'll jot down all the notes in a sketchbook, and at the end I go back to my desk and just plan out the entire thing. I draw out, and I got help from my feature animation services people, Merritt Andrews. I love you very much, helping me go through this, and we got it all through. And there's about 4 workbook we made, and there's like 18 to 20 pages of all this. So we ship this. We call it Bible, the Pocahontas Bible. So after we're done with this, we make a duplicate copy of it, like 4 copies. We send it to Digital Interactive. We send it to Funcom. We have one for the animation services, and then we can make sure all these elements translate well, and Funcom will deliver exactly what it did. So this is like a good example of what we wanted to see and how this will play. So all these are actually kind of like a game cheat kind of thing.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Like we haven't done this puzzle yet, like it says here, but you'll be seeing this later. Where you're having to go all the way up these tree tops to help the bear, and it plays out just like that. So you'll see that recreated.
Oh yeah, kudos for the Funcom to putting all this together exactly how I drew. It's like, oh my god, you guys are awesome. Yeah, and then since I couldn't finish them like fast, so I would do some of the rough stuff, and my friends at the animation services will come in and they help out, they clean it up, and they make it more presentable. So we did a lot of this stuff. So that was quite a handful of work. Not everything got through the game because you can't put everything into the cart. So at least we have a chance to show them what we exactly wanted to do, and then game designers, they did their best to match it exactly. I think they did a phenomenal job.
So yeah, specifically this part I think is going to be later in this level, like you said, it's the chase with the wolf. It doesn't have this whole sequence that you see here. It only has part of it, but as you can see, you storyboard out this whole thing.
Yeah.
Oh, there's stuff.
Extra notes.
Cool.
Oh, this is with the baby bird.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
And how about the baby bird?
So I gave this images to the Multitap, so they'll have posted on somewhere, so you guys can
Oh, okay.
actually
So we
take a
can
look.
go ahead and tweet it out.
Yeah,
then?
you can tweet it out.
Awesome.
I posted it on my Facebook, so my friends from Facebook, they'll probably seen it or play with it.
Awesome. Sounds good. So yeah, I guess I'll switch it back.
Yeah, that's all my back. That's my drawing that I did a long time ago.
That's crazy.
Compressed charcoal.
Oh, there's Grandma Willow. Oh,
Grandmother Willow is a beautiful one too.
sorry.
Yeah, unfortunately, we only have 2 mics hooked up right now. So if Dana wants to say anything, I guess make sure to lean into this mic.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to talk too much. I just was trying to say for that scene.
So that was that, I guess. So I did all that.
Awesome.
But yeah, no, like yeah, if there's anything else you want to show specifically right here, I can bring it up.
Sure.
I guess I'll keep playing the game.
So can you talk about the stunt double work that you performed?
So
the important stunt double work.
So if you watch this game, it kind of plays like similar to some other games you probably could recognize, either Prince of Persia or Flashback or Out of This World. So those three games are pretty much really popular back then. And Flashback just came out on Genesis and it got like rave review.
Yeah.
So that was the thing that we modeled after. And then since Pocahontas is a little bit like Disney princess type thing, so we wanted to create this game geared toward to the female audience, like the girls and stuff. So, and then Disney Interactive did a research. So, like in a room full of kids, boys wanted to take over the controller. They just want to play what they wanted to play, and they want to like jump and kill or collect the dawn or whatever. But the girls play completely different than boys did. I mean, they do love same way as well, but some kind of games like this, they would like to like converse with each other. They wanted to work together. Like one person will be doing control, the other kids will tell her, okay, do this, do that. So it's all about collaborative process. So we wanted to gear Pocahontas more like that rather than like popping bubbles or something like that. So this is really of a thinking man's kind of game. And so that process, what was the question?
So I was asking more, I guess, about the stunt double work. Yeah.
So to make it realistic, we wanted to actually grab actual model, a stunt double, and we actually videotaped every motion that she does, like jumping off, climbing, and all that stuff. Funny to mention, the Pocahontas movie was a lot of things were actually shot in video footage first before they animated. They wanted to be realistic as possible. So some call it like rotoscoping, but most of the part was actually animated. But on top of it, they actually wanted to use a live action motion. So we wanted to spiritually inherit that into our game. So we did our motion capture basically with a video camera and stuff. So MGM Studio has a big studio lot, so we actually made the what do you call it, the step folding and step up and stuff. So we hired actress, and she would wear long hair and she would literally do all the stunt that you see. We would use that as the framework for our feature animation. So during that process, there's a part that she needs to like roll a big boulder, but when we ask her to do it, I mean, normally people could act out doing it, but if there's anything in front of them, it's becoming acting. It doesn't look like she's really pushing something heavy. So we need something to be there, and we didn't have anything huge or light enough so she could roll around. So it's like I could be that part.
That's awesome.
So what I did was like I was there at the video shoot anyway, because I'm drawing out every poses, because all the drawing that you saw on my storyboard was actually I was drawing from her model too. So I practice martial art and Aikido, so we do a lot of rolling on the ground and stuff. So like I could roll, so I tucked myself into a little ball so she could push me and I roll around. So that's how I became a stunt double.
That's the best stunt double job I have ever heard of. Yeah, it
was fun.
That's incredible. So what was it like working with Funcom?
When I first saw them, they were talking to each other in Norwegian, so I didn't know where they're from. I have no idea because I've never seen Norwegian before. They're really tall and they're all blonde and they're really nice guys, and they're like super hyped about working on Disney product, and many of the artists over there, their dream job was working on Disney something. So it's like, oh, awesome, and we just really liked working with them because they deliver everything that we do and making sure that everything reflect Disney quality, and they did their best to accommodate that. And then they did it in a timeline, and I think the company still exists. I don't know what they are working on right now, but I hope I knew somebody there still. But yeah, it was really awesome to work with them, and they did a fantastic job on this game.
Jimenez is saying, "Sung is rock, rock is sung."
Oh, thank you, Jim.
That's funny. So what was the process of digitizing the traditional drawn art animation into game sprites and tiles? Like, I think we kind of touched upon that a little bit, but I guess just to kind of reiterate.
So back then, the highest resolution monitor or computer was like 640 by 480, right? So, and then Genesis, the pixel resolution is a 320 by 240.
Yeah, around there.
Right. So we have to digitize all the pictures to that smaller size. So we would still do animate everything on the paper and pencil. And then the people who worked on the film actually worked on this game as well. So that's a pedigree, you're shining through. So when you play this game was actually worked on by the Disney artist.
Awesome.
And just like Aladdin and Lion King, exactly the same fashion. So after we do the finished drawings and we confirm all that stuff, and we will send it to Disney Interactive in California, Burbank, and they would scan them in, and they'll digitize them and scale it down to the right format they want to, and then they will color them. I believe they colored it at the Burbank, and then they ship that data to Funcom and Norwegian.
Oh, right.
So
Norway.
we didn't have like a robust internet or anything like that back then, so everything has to be shipped as a cargo box or whatever. So everything has to be shipped, and the time was basically crucial because of that issue, because you can't instantly send anything. Everything has to be put in a box, and everything is stamped and make sure that it was delivered perfectly. I think we even have a different delivery service, so we weren't using like US Postal. Disney actually had their own type of a postal related service with some other people. So and we send it out to them, and then they'll use those data to put it in a game, and they'll put the game together, and they burn a ROM. So we would get a chip, burn ROM. So if you open a Genesis card or Super NES card, that chip inside, that's our review copy.
Oh, okay.
So that's how we see it. So
that's awesome.
And sometimes they'll give us like a code so we could actually bypass the level, but I guess the Lion King, they didn't have that code available for us. That's why they needed. Thank God, if they didn't, I wouldn't have the job. But since they didn't have it, so I had to play the entire game physically. Oh, look at this animation.
There's that animation.
Good to see the game over animation.
Oh my gosh. So that her dying animation was done by Joseph Gillen. He's a master effects animator. He was at Disney Animation as well. He worked on numerous Disney projects. He worked on Nightmare Before Christmas, like all the ghosts flying out in the beginning of the sequence. He animated those as well. Then he animated her death sequence you just saw, and a lot of stuff that happening on the background was mostly done by his animation as well too. And it's beautiful how they translate that into this pixel format, because we don't have a high fidelity back then, but still it delivers like quite a bit of animation there, so which is really cool.
So what kind of input did you have into how the game ended up playing, and were there any particular changes you remember from earlier versions of the game, or is this pretty much how it was always intended to be?
I mean, it's ongoing process, and then there's always a budget and time stuff too, so you can never expect to have 100% always going in there. That's how it is with all the video game industry anyway. So if it didn't make it this time, it'll make it in a second game or something. But at this time, when we work on Pocahontas, you got to put whatever you could possibly put it in. And Genesis card has a limited size, so we can't possibly put everything in there.
Right.
So animation has to be precise, and some has to be cut. So those kind of things that you don't see it, but we notice it before. And even before this was made, they were actually using template. So one time, instead of Pocahontas, because we haven't really delivered the animations yet, so they were using some other animatable character to like portray Pocahontas. So I don't know whether it was Aladdin running around this background, or the Maui Mallard. So Disney Interactive was working on Donald Duck video game called Maui Mallard.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's like a ninja guy with a Hawaiian
t-shirt.
The
Cold Shadow.
Yeah. So they were using that character to run around this environment as well. So that was kind of interesting to see. And some of the level has to be cut, because it become it's more narrative thing than we'll just make it play out like narrative. So I actually designed the game for the colors of the wind sequence as a video game element, but then again, in a movie, it's like a musical sequence. So how would you translate that into a game?
Right.
So I think they decided to let's just make it play out like a musical sequence. So if you get to that level, it'll be just Genesis auto playing the whole thing, just like a movie was.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So that's probably one of the. There it
I
goes.
guess, we got a quick question from Dave related to the Cold Shadow discussion. I think we were playing it earlier, the European version, and we noticed it's called Donald Duck in Cold Shadow, I think, and then here they call it Maui Mauler.
Yeah.
In Cold Shadow, is there a reason for that, or they just wanted to leverage Donald Duck in Europe, or?
I didn't even know why they were calling Maui Miller. Because he was wearing they didn't want it to say Donald Duck game.
Oh, okay.
Some reason or not. So that's what they call it Maui Miller, because he's wearing Hawaiian t-shirts and stuff. So that's one of the thing. And then maybe a different country could like go along with the Donald Duck name and they wouldn't have any trouble. Because like back when I was working, Disney characters are actually like a golden. It's like no one can touch them. So Donald Duck cannot do anything bad thing. Or Mickey Mouse cannot do bad thing. Everything has to be so precise and so super clean, because otherwise like all the parents will calling in and they'll it's like, why are you making Mickey doing all this weird stuff or Donald doing all this stuff, even though these characters actually started as like kind of mischievous kind of character.
Right.
But throughout the years, they become a corporate mascot, and you cannot have corporate mascot doing like smacking people with a stick.
Exactly.
So that's probably one of the reasons they didn't want to display that name Donald in a game in US version, but other country it's okay, I guess. So
I must explain
I think in Spain, like Mickey Mouse is Tortellini or Tortellino or something, completely different name than Mickey Mouse. So every country has a different name for the Mickey Mouse and the Fabulous Five. So I guess that's the reason.
Okay. So back on the subject of Pocahontas Genesis, did you overall like how the game turned out?
Oh yeah. Oh, I really enjoyed it, and it's one of my favorite. That's why I still keep it in my my hand. So it's one of the like most accomplishment that I got, because I literally get to work on every nook and cranny of this level, and I designed it, I drew it out, and I put my input into it. And on top of like all the producers saying everything exists in their mind, they cannot physically produce all that stuff as a visual element. So I need to go in there and put it all together.
Okay.
Because when we actually started this game, everybody was really difficult. Are we really doing this on Genesis? This is like way too much thinking process for anybody to do. But we actually, when we show them this could be done as a physical drawing, and they understood like, yes, it is possible. Let's do it. Let's put it together in a game and first level and see if it works out. So the first part of the Miko and Pocahontas switching role to help each other really resonated all throughout the thing, and it worked out. And so we kept pushing it that way, and then it actually become a totally different type of a game than typical game that you expect. You know what I mean? Beating up enemies or anything like that.
This kind of game on Genesis is just, it's super rare. There's obviously not much like this on there, or like even adventure games in general. So it's a really nice surprise to have a title like this.
And she jumps and grabs the ledge and stuff. Do you know how hard that is in the environment? And even she's jumping to grab the edge, because you have to be certain distance or certain lengths to get there. So there's an automatic snap happen. So that has to be calculated for every height of the level map. So this is really intricate game to design.
yeah, I imagine.
Because like it has to be, you have to be dexterous as well, and at the same time you have to be knowing what you playing as well too. And then all the animation link up between one animation to the next animation, falling to the jumping animation. All that stuff has to be linked in. So all the animation have a linking animation to the one to the next. So there's a lot of stuff has to happen. So I'm just amazed at how these came put together. Like kudos for the other people who worked in this game.
Kudos. So Eddie, we are actually at Nerdvana Coffee right now.
Hi Eddie.
Close to Gearbox, or so I hear. All right, so
somewhere nearby.
What are some of your favorite things in the game?
My favorite thing. What did I say? Okay. I mean, everything in the game I love it, but basically character animation. It's just superb. I mean, I look at her animation. There's several type of a running animation too. So there's a regular walk, sprint. There's a walk, run, and sprint. And whenever she got she gets the deer spirit, and she does her sprint. It's just exactly like a feature film.
Oh,
Because that's all the animators who worked on the feature animation, they worked on it, so you could totally see resonate through this. And then people who worked on the video game or people who wanted to learn animation and stuff, this is a really good example to see how the animation plays well. One animation connected to the next one and all that stuff. So, and effects animation, I talked about it before. It's beautifully done by Joe Gillen, which is an amazing artist. And the level colors, I mean, Genesis has lacking color than Super Nintendo, but they did amazing job. So none of them is muddy. Everything is just beautiful. We couldn't believe they actually duplicate the colors of the wind sequence with a Genesis color.
yeah, because it's a very limited palette.
Yeah, but I mean, look at it. The animation is gorgeous. You know, the colors right there. You can see exactly what's going on.
And I think they used some of the dithering techniques to get some of those colors. So I made sure the way we're playing it through composite, so it's actually blending those together, and we can kind of see it the way it was intended to be seen.
Mm-hmm.
But
sorry. Like I have a couple more.
favorite things. Go ahead.
Another favorite thing is a puzzle element, because we really worked hard to figure all this puzzle element together.
Mm-hmm.
I think throughout the video game production, we met about 5 times. Between Florida Feature Animation Studio to Burbank Studio, and then sometimes actually had the meeting at Norwegian. I didn't get a chance to go, but so all 3 studio we actually went going back and forth and create all this puzzle element, and it was really grueling process from morning till the end. We just sit there together, just talk, nailing all this, hammering out all this game element stuff. So all those like a 5 to 6 months of planning out all this stuff, and then me going back into my desk and start ironing that out, so make sure it's presentable to the workbook process.
Mm-hmm.
It all worked out so immensely, and then Funcom really happy to see this, because like I'm sure they could have designed some games as well, but some like this official kind of guidebook, a storybook is already set for them. It's a lot easier for them to just move along the production pipeline.
Right.
They don't have to wait for anything. They know exactly what it is. They just have to scan that in and convert that into the level layout with whatever the sprite tiling and stuff. So I'm very, very, very proud of this game. In fact, this is one of my best games that I ever worked on. Although I worked on a lot of different games, but this one definitely has my soul, my heart in it, and I'm very proud to have worked on this game.
So I think we touched on it a bit when we were reviewing the storyboard art, but are there any particular things you can remember that did not make the game? Because I think you were talking about space constraints earlier, so I guess maybe kind of just reiterate some of the things that didn't make it into the game.
So even though she's like a small fraction of the portion in the screen, she has a lot of animation. If somebody actually go in the game and taken out the sprite sheet of her entire animation, oh my god, it'll be it'll be huge. So having that in it, and then able to translate all that into this game was amazing. And even though she's not in the water that much, she has a lot of animation footage inside the water, so you can see her animating inside the water, like paddling, idling, moving to the one side to the next. I mean, it's not immediate like action games. It's more like a Tomb Raider-ish, I guess. Yeah, but still we have all the animation of her hair flowing and stuff. There's a joke in the Disney feature animation when we worked on the Pocahontas movie. Her hair is another character, because her hair is just wow, it's everywhere. Right. And because of her hair, her characteristic is basically flowing wind and all that stuff. So and we had to translate that into the game as well, so whenever she's walking, running, you can see her hair flowing just beautifully. Oh, look at that, it's happening. Whoa. I just love that scheme.
Gorgeous. So are there any frustrating technical challenges you remember? We kind of touched on that with, I guess, just kind of the limited palette and
the cart size.
Yeah. So, but is there anything besides that maybe, or?
Not that I remember.
Mm-hmm.
I do remember everything was working, smoothly.
Mm-hmm.
To the end of the release date, we had to make sure that everything is precisely delivered. So there might be some glitches here and there, but I think it's pretty playable all throughout. There wasn't anything wrong. I do know there's sometimes like a Miko get trapped in there. We have to find out how to get him out.
Oh,
He get trapped in some places, and that's like a technical glitches that they have to figure it out. So we were kind of wondering when they could fix and all that stuff. So that worked out well. And sometimes settlers, they just don't get scared by her bear or something. So we have to fix that too. So I think that's why, because like you have to set one settler scared of the bear spirits, one settler doesn't get scared of the bear spirits, so you have to differentiate. But I guess computer, so you have to do it for every single character. So sometimes that didn't go through, so they need to go back and fix it and all that stuff. So, and then the distance issue too. So they have to make sure that distance is enough so they wouldn't recognize her. If they recognize her too early, then you get die really quick. So that's some of the issue they probably have to iron out. So a lot of things worked out great. So I'm very, very happy.
And I mean, I gotta say, for our part, when we were playing through this, we never encountered anything that glitched on us or any kind of bugs like that. So game's pretty rock solid.
Yep.
Any other fun experiences working on the game you'd like to talk about?
Cool thing was like I get to travel a lot. So when I went to Burbank, California, Disney Interactive, they're in a really, really awesome studio, and I get to see what they're working on. So even before the game came out, so I get to see a gargoyle when they're working on. I get to try it, which was pretty cool, and Maui Mellard, of course, and all the games that I did chance to play and work on it. It was just another amazing thing. Because like all throughout my college years, I've been playing Genesis games instead. I never thought I'd be actually working on one, and then now I actually worked on several ones. So
that's awesome.
As this probably for just information, not only this one, I worked on Pinocchio video game, and it wasn't tied to any movie. I mean, it wasn't tied to the Pinocchio movie. They weren't re-releasing or anything. Just like they just wanted to make a Pinocchio video game after this one. So I think it was done with the Virgin Interactive, so it wasn't with the Funcom. So we actually did a lot of work on that one. So if you have a chance to play that game, it's really fun.
Okay.
And it's like everything about Disney video game has to relate to the resonate the storyline of what the movie is. Not only it should be fun, but it has to resonate the storyline of the movie. So that's a lot of things that we have to work on. So there isn't like freedom of like, okay, just create a whatever level you want to. No, we have to follow the route. So which kind of lead me into working on a lot of franchise games. So any franchise game that I get to work on, I do understand what they're aiming for, what their restrictions are, and how do I have to follow and stuff. So there's a lot of challenges. So that's one of the reasons I get to work on Hannah Montana, because it's already established franchise medium, and then I had to make sure that translates well into the video game realm as well. So as long as it's fun and as long as it's translate all that stuff into the game, I think they're happy with that. And then they have to do it really fast. So that's always a kind of downside. But yeah, throughout the whole process, I get to put a lot of input in it, and I could not only verbally I could speak what I wanted to see, but I could draw it out, so make sure people understand. And most of the time, people will let me know it can't be done or it can be done. So that's kind of thing. Sometimes I get kind of disappointed, or it's like, wow, I'm surprised at the same time. But that process still goes on, no matter which game system, how much we advance, we still go through the same process. It's like, can we do all this? Everybody ask for this, faster frame rate, or do this and more, add more this, and why could you? Because there's always restriction. You can't have it all. That's where the gameplay comes in. Make sure that you would get exactly what you want to get, but specific time of the part of the game. So you don't waste any frame rate, you don't waste any time and data and stuff. So game development is a lot of juggling. So I think I'm glad that I had to get a chance to work on that in the early part of this video game industry. So yeah. And I get to go to a lot of E3, so that was awesome too. And I get to meet famous game developers back then, and I love to see all the new system. And of course, I work for Disney, so I have a Disney tag on my thing, and everybody come after me and ask me about questions and can we get a meeting and stuff. It's like, oh, I'm just an artist. But it was really awesome. It was really awesome to work on these kind of games, and I still do.
Good stuff. So that's basically it for our prepared questions, but we've already got some And I encourage everyone else, if you want to ask questions at this point, we'll start reading them more directly from the chat. Eddie asks, ever get some strong pushback from the Disney people on something you thought was cool?
Oh yeah. Just I think I talked about it a little bit more because Disney characters, certain thing that you can do or you cannot do. So it's like there's a basically Disney police. So so Mickey Mouse cannot do this. You can't display Mickey as a dismembered or anything like that. So you need to have certain things. So like if you see her death animation, we actually touched on it more like a let's say Aladdin death animation will be comically portrayed. Like he get knocked down and Genie will be doing back massage and all that stuff. But Pocahontas doesn't have that in the film, so we can create some comical elements. So what we try to do is more like graceful art related. So whenever she dies, she just transforms into the leaf blowing in the wind and stuff. That's completely done for this game only. So it's not in a movie, but still kind of related to Disney magic in Pocahontas, the realm. So that's kind of things that we have to watch out for. So we can have death, we can have anything super serious, anything. So even though the settler's there, and then we cannot show settlers shooting. Although there is a one shot when Thomas, if you haven't seen it, spoiler alert, Kokum dies. Sorry. Yeah. So we have to white out. We can't show blood or anything. That's a whole another issue that we can't do. So that's kind of things that we have to watch out for. Yeah, it's for friendly kids game, so family game.
I have to scroll it up.
Sure.
So, alright, so here's a good one. Oh wait, so Dave has one. We'll go ahead and read that first, So Dave asks, do you remember any of the film animators struggling with the transition to game development after wrapping on the film?
Oh yes. Oh, big time. Oh, thank you, Dave, for asking me that question. So since this is going to be this tiny on a screen, and when you digitize it, you lose a lot of details anyway. So she won't be able to have her fingers. So we animator has to draw a mitten. So her face detail get lost anyway, so you can't really draw much of a facial expression. So everything is turned into either dot or something. So when you look at the original animation done for the Pocahontas game, it really looked
right.
And that's the thing about Disney people is like, why are we doing this horrible things? We sure. Once in the game, you don't even notice, because everything was scaled down. It's all pixels, so you can see all the detail. But I think they did an amazing job anyway. So those are the kind of things that you lost. So I was amazed how much of a detail of animation that you translate well into this game without losing any detail. Her hair animation is still there. You can see her definition of her clothing and stuff. You can still see her body and all that stuff. So that's the technical difficulty that we have to jump over and hurdle over, and just the Disney animation department have a hard time translating over, because Disney equals quality, and all the animation and cleanup animation is so precise and so lifelike. But at the same time, and here what they draw, they don't see the digital version, so they always getting kind of frustrated.
Right.
But we're showing them no, it's okay. Yeah, no one can see her face anyway. But nowadays, this digital format, you can play it screen, HDMI screen, and you can see every detail of weird stuff. So I think that's what we got lost, but still, it's a generation of what. Oh dear, here he comes.
It's Cocoam.
Oh no, Thomas.
Both eyes open.
Did you know that Thomas' voice was done by Christian Bale?
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Batman.
Yep. Batman killed Cocoam. Officially here, Cocoam was killed by Batman.
That's awesome. All right, so Jimenez asked, did your animation drive the character speed, or did you get the movement speed from playtesting and then animate to that?
Animation, let me see. Animation drive. She has 3 different speed, so depending on what speed, the game element changes too. It's sometimes she has to speed up to jump some longer chasm, and she has a log that she has to run fast, otherwise she's gonna fall short. So that's why she gains a deer ability that she can run faster. So here, at the same time, that she could run faster and then gear up. So I guess that's kind of answer that question. And then we are basing a lot of her motion on the stunt double, the motion capture as well. So we have a video stack. So it's not like a film you have to put it on or anything. We didn't animate this in the computer. We all did it in paper and pencil. So we have a stacks of like an animation stat. We call it like a we render out we like print out print out all the the video frame of her running, and we use that as a reference. So that was like kind of key part of this thing too. So I guess that kind of help each other, and definitely like animation related to the game as well. Did I answer that question? I'm going all over the place. I hope that answered that question.
I think so, yeah. So Pillow asks, what was your favorite game to storyboard on? And I might scroll it down some.
Okay. The level where she's in the water and Miko is on a little island, so you need to rescue him, and then she has to swim under the water and find a way to go up there, and then how Miko has to traverse around the trees to make sure that he find a way to get out of the tree as well. So that was really fun to draw out, because that was like the hardest one to figure it out what we wanted to do, because like just talking about it just won't make any sense. So once we actually draw out the map of this island, how this hole that she was going to swim through and all that stuff, so we have talking like, can she swim forever inside the water? Are we gonna give her like a length of time that she's gonna stay in the water? How is this gonna happen? Like, and then we found out, okay, we're gonna separate animal spirit. So like otter become her spirit, so she could swim and stay on the water. So that kind of thing happened. So that was one of the difficult part to storyboard it out, but one of the most fun. Once you look at that animation. Whew. Yeah. So up, down, left, right. So this was actually first designed by the Virgin Interactive producer. He was mentioning how the other swimming animation done for the other some game. So I think he kind of mentioned this is a requirement we need to do, and he'll draw a stick figure, and then we'll go in there and make sure that animation exists. So we couldn't have her swimming, the fake swimming. So I think I wasn't there, but we actually take her to the swimming pool at the like big I don't know, studio lot swimming pool and stuff. I think they videotape her swimming as well too. So that's fun fact.
Good attention to detail. Space Kiss asks, do you prefer working on the older games than the newer ones?
No, I mean I changed my way of doing things throughout the year. So like, as long as the technology keep changing, and I still keep up with it, I could still work on every kind of game I could possibly could. Ooh, look at that. Yay, he made it.
Good job.
Good job. So yeah, it's as long as I understand what the technology is behind and what's behind it and how I could transform, I'm okay. And then my part is I'm usually just a drawing person, so all the other part of like digitizing and transporting over stuff, I just need to do the first step of it, and then implementing was done by somebody else. So I think that's handled by more smart and talented people. So as far as I could deliver some good stuff and animation wise and stuff, I think people really happy with what I deliver. So I'm very happy to work on a game still, and I'm still working like a digital format, and I still work on pixel animation and 2D animation as well, so which is really awesome. So I don't know anybody know or not, but Battleborn had 2D hand-drawn animation as far as effects wise. So there's over 20,000 hand-drawn frames of each the whole game. That's way crazy. More than even feature animation. So I had a chance to work with another world-class talent animator called Michel Gagné. He worked on Iron Giant, Castle Camelot. He actually started his industry experience as Land Before Time. So when all you guys and we were babies and stuff, we actually saw his animation. And he's still working on a lot of projects, and he worked on Battleborn for us for 2 years, and now he's working on his own film, Sega oh my god, his name. Okay, he's gonna kill me. Why am I blanking out his movie? So Legend of Saga, Saga of Rex of Saga of Rex. Yeah, he's working on that. So it's amazing stuff that he's working. And he get like freelance opportunity from all sort of different type of studios from all over the world. He's super talented. So I had a blast working on that stuff, and all those beautiful animation, 2D effects animation was kind of embedded in here. Same way done like 20 years ago. We still use the same way now, even still, and it's gonna still work that way as well too. So as long as we keep it alive and you guys like what we're doing, we're gonna keep on making it.
It's awesome. Oh man, I think we're getting close to Seung's credit.
Oh, here we go.
Oh man,
look at all those for the European names.
Hope I didn't miss it already, but
no, I think the
it's still
Funcom
coming up.
get the first name.
Oh, and then they do the.
Yeah, I found out they have a lot of Kim over there in Origin.
Oh, okay, awesome. Oh,
Yeah,
here we go.
Here we go. Paul Grassi, Chuck Williams. Chuck Williams was the producer for the Brother Bear. Uli Meyer is another great animator.
Yeah. Seung Kim. I mean,
Thank you.
Songmaster K. Forget the kayfabe names.
Yay! Oh, look at all those friends. Oh, all those names are kind of like, my buddies, where are you now? Merit, yeah, Arden Chen. He's a supervising layout director at the Blue Sky. So he worked on a lot of Blue Sky features.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think someone was asking a bit earlier why they switched to Blue Sky for the Disney games. Because the Disney games they switched who they were using to make them later on.
Oh, they always switch different people. So they don't want to like monetize one person on another. So they were working with the Virgin Interactive and they switch over to someone else. And even the animation studio, they keep switching around. Sometimes the animation service couldn't handle all the workload, so we had to hire smaller studio at the Burbank, California as well. And Uli Meyer is another amazing 2D animation artist in UK. So he did a lot of commercials and he worked on a lot of famous films as well. So we actually have him worked on some of the animation as well. So from this point on, we actually get to work on different type of games like Pinocchios and all the other stuff. Not only, well, there's a animation services logo. So not only Pocahontas video game, we actually worked on, at the same time we worked on a Pocahontas storybook for CD-ROM. So
Okay.
there was a lot of layouts and animation, all that stuff has to be done. So that was done for the computer. So if you cannot find it, it's on YouTube anyway. You can look at it, and I did a lot of pixel animating there. I worked on the gameplay element. I drew a lot of game design as well. So I designed some game of a kids like shooting arrows. There was like a Pocahontas, the tribe kids like shooting arrows and stuff. So I designed some of the game element in that PC CD-ROM as well. So.
Well, so real quick, I think I'll swap out, and then you can start reading the other questions that we haven't gotten to.
Let me put the thing back in. So this is the actual game that Disney gave us when the game released. So I still have them, perfect condition, I think. Here.
All right, so
Oh,
this one
and I gotta
was
hold
Jazz.
it.
Was the next one. Oh wait, sorry, we can still keep it on if you want to show it off.
Sorry. Yeah.
Oh, it's there it is.
Here, I'm sorry. I can get a bit closer with that. There we go. Yeah.
Whoa!
It's only one player, and it's got what does it say? Over 65 thrilling challenges.
Oh boy, 65 pages of.
Well,
Where did that go?
They always have to put a number on the bottom.
Of course, yeah.
That's just how it was back in the
That's
day.
a 65 pages of drawings. I had to do.
Maybe even more.
Oh yeah.
So I guess read this one. Jazz.
All right. Do you own any of the original cells for the Disney movies?
Okay, here's a lot of questions people ask me the same thing. So Disney, they did a lot of cell animation before, but the last cell animation they worked on was Little Mermaid. So after the Little Mermaid, Disney cell animation is pretty much non-existent.
Oh, well.
So what they did was basically they found a way to actually digitize the drawing in a high resolution, and they could color it in digital format. So they call it CAPS, CAP, CAP system. So actually, CAP system won Academy Technical Award for that reason. So Disney was the first studio to actually transport everything to digital format. Because with the CAPS, they could do multi-plane shots and everything. They don't have to rely on the huge cameras anymore. No color. They don't have to worry about the color changing from one cell to the next. Because like it's not really what's it called? Like a optical the real medium. It's actually become a digital medium, so they have much better way to control it. So after Little Mermaid was done, all the Disney animation was done on a digital format. So from then on, everything else is just but they do have a cell painted after that period, which is called Ceracell. They still kept the ink and paint department, but for the show and for people for the Disney gallery, so you can actually purchase those. It's done through the same process. They Xerox the actual original drawing and then put it onto the celluloid, and then they give it to the ink and paint people, and then they literally paint with the actual Disney paint they used to paint on, and they make a limited edition of those cells.
So it's like just because people were so used to that and they want the
Yeah.
cells, kind of like how Jazz was asking. It's like they want that, so they still make those,
Yeah.
even though they don't actually use that.
Yeah,
for
they
movie.
wouldn't have a lot of them made. They will limited cell, and then they have like a Disney stamp and stuff. So whenever the new Disney movie came out, after from then on, they were like Ceracell made for the each movie. So during the Lilo and Stitch and Hunchback of Notre Dame, the employees get a chance to actually buy them. So with a lot lower price.
Oh, hey, you get a discount.
Yeah, so I get a chance to buy at least one of them and one of each. So I got Ceracell from Milan and Hunchback of Notre Dame. It's beautiful, really painted, and it's gorgeous. And that's the real. And funny thing is, like animation services actually did a lot of commercial for TV. So they did Rescuers Rangers, like a McDonald's commercial. So they literally did whole thing in a cell painted.
Oh, that's.
So I actually have one. They actually gave me one, and they did work on Dalmatian toy commercial for McDonald's, Happy Meal stuff. So I actually have a small cell of like a Cruella de Vil in a vehicle, actually hand painted cell.
Wow. That's...
So I have that, and that's the real cell that I have.
Hey, that's awesome. From Anti-Hero?
Scuba!
The best. He has taught me a lot of things.
Oh, he taught me a lot of things too. Thank you, Scuba and the hero. You're the best.
And Lemming Trip wants to know, did you meet Michael Eisner?
Oh, did you meet
yes,
Michael Eisner?
yes. We were in a lot of different meetings and stuff, so we actually get to meet him. And he was a really nice guy too. And whenever we have the company meeting, he would come out and talk about what are we doing and what are we doing next and all that stuff. So he always start the thing. And whenever we do some kind of goofy videos or whatever, he always join into fun stuff. So every year, every movie that Disney make, feature animation make, we actually have yearbook made. So one year they actually made a yearbook, like a high school yearbook. So all the Disney the department as like a kind of AB club or animation club or hockey club or something. So each department will actually have one of those. And Michael Eisner was like a superintendent. He actually posed like this with the glass coming down the nose and stuff. So it was really fun to kind of have. And I had a chance to meet with the Roy Disney. He's the nephew of Disney. And he was the reason that we all got hired too, because he wanted to expand Disney animation from the cell painting to the actual digital format. So he actually initiated, revitalized the whole golden age of Disney animation.
I mean,
So because of him, Little Mermaid happened, and then like, the animation grew from Rescuers Down Under. So that's a little fun fact for you.
Yeah, right.
So I guess read this from Jazz, and then maybe we could start that.
Oh. All right. So Jazz says, how many jiggies would it take for Seung to donate a whiteboard sketch request? Well,
funny you mentioned that.
we talked about this before, and Seung agreed that we will have a raffle, and that's what we're having, right? A jiggy raffle.
So it'll just be like the normal one where we give out the tickets. I guess
Hey, Scuba,
So-
anti-hero.
So can you buy tickets or can you only get one ticket?
I'll go ahead and set that up some way, but yeah, I guess just let
Alright.
them know that there's
All right, so yeah, there is a raffle coming up, and if you join the raffle, then you will get the chance to.
just any kind of sketch.
Like, if you want me, I can't officially say because it's a Disney
But-
character. I don't work for Disney
Well,
company,
well,
so
we might have to have a little back and forth to check
yeah,
if it's
I'll
okay
draw
or not.
something. Wink, wink for you.
Right,
You will win a sketch from something.
Yeah.
It'll be some kind of
And-
sketch.
And I mean, as you saw, his art's amazing. So it's like, yeah, to the lucky one who gets that hot dog. That's right.
Cool. So let's see. I don't know if there were any other. That may be it. So we may want to talk about our other favorite Disney games, maybe.
Well, you know,
Yeah, what's other your favorite
I-
bit?
I like Pocahontas. It's,
Sure.
It's pretty good, but you know, the best Disney game ever made, I believe, is Disney's Aladdin for the Super Nintendo.
Oh yeah, let's get a good full game of that.
Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
I don't know.
What? What are you talking about?
I just, you know, I love Capcom. I love Capcom, and you know, I like Aladdin. I think it's pretty fun. I don't know.
Wait.
You don't think?
Wait. What? Okay. All right. Have you played the other Aladdin game then?
There's another Aladdin game.
I
don't-
Why I
Oh, wait a minute. You mean this one?
Oh my god! Yes, this is what Aladdin and Knuckles. What the heck?
This is a special edition.
Okay.
version. Yeah. So yeah, they had another Aladdin game, I guess.
So I mean, here's the thing. Like, I guess a lot of people argue about like what's the best Aladdin video games out there, but I mean, this is like we're basing on Disney's Aladdin, right? And then Disney made Aladdin video game. And what people are saying, Capcom Aladdin games better than this? I'm like, what? Where are we going with this?
Capcom didn't help make the movie at all. You know.
They didn't even. Oh my goodness.
I wasn't sure, but you know.
Okay. Why do you think the Capcom version is better than this one?
Well, I don't know. Like, in this one, like he has a sword, you know, and this one you gotta throw apples, and apples are pretty cool. They're healthy for you.
Well, this one has apple too. He throws apple. Well, I mean, limited numbers, but still.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, I hate being limited in my apples, but if you really think this one's so great, maybe we should check it out.
Sure, definitely.
For a bit.
Did you want to play it?
I think you guys could play it because I can't play and talk at the same time.
That's fine.
Like when I started the Disney internship, like right after the college, we get assigned to the mentor. So every intern get to assign to the Disney animator as a mentor. My mentor back then, he was actually working on this game.
Yeah.
So he was animating and doing cleanup for the Aladdin. I'm like, wait, that's not in film's already done. What is? And I'm like in my head, this gotta be video game. And he's like, yeah, this is gonna get video game for Genesis. Like, I actually got to witness Aladdin video game even before it came out.
Right.
So that was just most amazing thing I've ever seen. It's like, oh, you can work on video game in this company too. It's like, yep. It's like, oh my goodness. Sam Maywing, I think he's a full sail professor now as an animation professor, full sail in Florida. He was my mentor, and he was working on this, and I love this thing. And all the animation is literally done by same animator who worked in the feature as well. And as you know, this was like a very first Disney franchise worked on the Genesis or the 16-bit era.
Yeah.
So, and Disney Interactive wasn't even a huge thing either. They would have a small studio just like licensing out this and that, but this game made the Disney Interactive where they are before. So they sold a lot of games
Everyone knows Aladdin.
Yeah, I mean, of course. And then this game sold a lot. You know, it is difficult. It's a hack and slash game, and then they were kind of basing on the. Look at the fun animation of each death sequence too. It's
Yeah,
beautiful.
like you were talking about before.
So I think David Perry has something to do with it. He's like the Earthworm Jim and
That's
MDK.
right.
Yeah,
That's right. If you put in the password for this game, his face shows up.
yeah. So he was the driving force, and Virgin Interactive has somehow something related to this game as well. So this game actually opened up a door for many other franchise. So that's one of the reasons I really like this game. And then this game actually embodies all Disney feature animation and the storytelling and the quality throughout it. Because like this kind of thing was actually never done in Genesis before or any 16-bit. Everything was sprite animation, and then there's all animated in the game engine, pixely, whatever. So none of them was actually done like a traditional feature animation quality.
Yeah.
So this actually broke a lot of ground, and I think they won a lot of award with this game. And you know, you can see the quality; it's amazing. And you know, my buddy Robbie, if he could still hear me, he argued that you know, as a video game wise, you know, this is very challenging, very difficult. But as a video game wise, the Capcom game actually has much more to offer. And I was like, really? But I, you know, I played it, I tried it, and I found out it's like, yes, video game wise, I think Capcom game has, because they've been making video game for a long time, so they know how to make the game right. So this is like a, you know, Disney's first attempt, so they wanted to make a quick game just to hack and slash and go to the next level and next level. So as far as game design wise, Capcom definitely did a much better job. And then all the climax, all the animated sequence and stuff, Disney cannot put anything animated sequence in here because that's gonna take a lot of memory, right?
Yeah.
So movie sequences, so they couldn't do it. So they'll probably go away with just a silhouette or whatever. But I did notice a Capcom version actually have a like ending animation with their game engine and stuff. So they actually do offer more than, you know, just hack and slash game. But as far as like a quality wise, Disney quality wise, I think, you know, Genesis Aladdin game definitely has what it offers.
Right. Yeah. No. And I would agree with that.
Yeah.
And just like you said, especially since this is, like you were saying, kind of their first venture, it's super impressive. Whereas like with Capcom, it's like, it's not like, you know, Capcom was they've been making games for years before that.
Yeah. Well, they did work on the Disney franchise before too, like a Mickey.
Exactly. Yeah.
But Disney never step in and they told them like, you have to animate Mickey this way or that way. They just let them do whatever. I don't even know if they actually. Disney was very protective of their merchandise, and when you're working on this kind of product, you can't get a lot of stuff from it, because when the movie's going on at them, they are secrecy about it, so they don't want anybody to, you know, see this thing out there. So they want to make sure that all the secret is kept in the company. So the only way they could see it is they could never get a copy of any existing stills or the movie. They could only, it's not like printing media was, you know, fluent back then. Everything was handled by, you know, physical medium, sending in the post office and stuff. So they're afraid of that too. So since this game, you know, Disney's Aladdin game was made in-house, we control everything within. So all the secret, everything has to be. So we get to do a lot of stuff exactly like how film was, you know, same animators and all the backgrounds and all that stuff. We could definitely use the same thing, and we know the film, how it looks, and we know the film and all that stuff. But Capcom doesn't have that access. They probably have like flown out one art director or producer flown out to, you know, America and watched the production film, like a making of, you know, like a black and white film of like a progress of the Disney Aladdin game for like a short period of time, and they have to make the entire game out of that, you know, footnote. So they don't get the access of animation or the background or anything. So I understand that. That's the reason they have to go through. So it changed a lot back from then now. But, you know, even back then, it was like amazing they had to put all those games together just looking at some promotional shots.
Yeah, it's like, and that's gone its own like that. But like for here, it's like this level, like this isn't really in the movie. Like you said, this is something that only you could come up with at Disney because of the inside and the outs of it. Yeah. And like also, I think the music on this level is unique too. So it's like that kind of thing.
Oh, another thing is all the Disney music has to be copyrighted, right? So That's why Capcom Aladdin game has no reminiscent Aladdin music there.
Oh.
That's the reason, because they're not allowed to use it for anything else. But in Genesis, the Disney version of a game like Pocahontas, all this stuff, we can use all the music from the movie because we own the rights and it's a Disney owned, so we could do whatever we want to. So that's one of the reasons, as far as the quality and the music wise, we get like upper handed. But I think gameplay wise, I would agree with Robbie. The Super Nintendo version of Aladdin actually offers like real game. Yeah.
Dave is asking, do you have any book recommendations for aspiring illustrators or animators?
Okay, so if you want to be an animator, and I know it's like really hard to look at books these days because everything is a digital medium, but one book that I highly recommend is Illusion of Life. Mm-hmm. It's written by 9 Old Men. They are the famous Disney animators back in old days. They worked on Dalmatian and Snow White and all that stuff. So they are the masters of Disney animator who worked on it. They put a book together called Illusion of Life. So that's like this thick book and this huge. And if I known it better, I would probably put it here. So that book is really like a holy Bible for all the animators. So one of my friends at the Disney internship, I remember his name is Byron Howard. So he was he didn't even go to like art school per se. He was just in art major in the college, and he studied like front page to back the Illusion of Life from beginning to the end. He just like memorized the whole book basically. He studied it, and he was. When I was in the internship, he was at an internship too. But before the internship, he was actually the animation tour guide.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
But he was talented enough. He put himself through all this training, so he actually showed the promise of like he could do animation and stuff. So he was really talented animator guy, and he showed a lot of promise. Guess what he did now? I mean, he's a big time animation director, and he directed Zootopia.
Really?
Yeah, he's the director of Zootopia, Byron Howard.
And he started as a tour guide.
Yes.
Wow.
Disney tour guide.
And get that book.
Yeah, get that book. Get that book, and you'll be there someday. Yeah, I always talk about him because he's such an amazing artist, and he just like brings so much joy to everybody, and it's awesome. There it is. That's the humble beginning. What you read. Not only read, you have to observe from a life too. You do the life drawings, and that's what I did too. When I was accepted at Disney internship, I had no idea that I was going to animation field. So I was an illustration major in my school of visual art. So I wanted to just keep doing what I love to do, just doing, someday I worked on, like book or illustration, whatever. But Disney came to different art schools, and they were interviewing a lot of art students. But first thing they said is like, we don't ever want to see cartoon drawings. So no Roger Rabbit, no Daffy Duck, no anything like that. We want to see whether you could draw figure drawings or not, whether you actually handle real life as well as how you handle illustration and stuff. So only thing they wanted to see is like a 24 pages of figure drawing from beginning of the portfolio to the next page. So that's what I was good at. I was good at figure drawing. So I drew a lot, and then I geared toward my portfolio that way. And once people got a chance to see it, that's how I got into the Disney internship. So that's how my whole career started at that point. So that still goes on, even though there's a lot of good art schools out there, but Disney and DreamWorks and all the big time animation studios, they still go around art school, and they only see people who has observed life drawings and figure drawings and stuff. They know you can handle all that stuff, and then your door will open more that way. So that's another thing I recommend. Figure drawing, life drawings. Yeah. Cartoon drawings will all come later. As long as you understand real human anatomy and stuff, I think that's the main backbone you need to have as an artist.
No. It's like, and it's weird because it's like, oh, they're animating cartoons, but it obviously makes sense when you see all the work that goes into that. You have to have all that.
Sure.
You can't just if you're drawing from cartoons, you're never gonna make anything.
Yeah, you
original.
only like licking the outside of the watermelon. You don't really not really tasting what's inside. So to do that, you need to traditionally train yourself to get to that level.
Right.
And I know it's tough, but I think there's a beauty in it too. If you find the
Oh,
beauty in realistic life drawing, then you can actually translate it to the whole thing. Like a lot of people, a lot of kids, there's like they look at Dragon Ball Z or animated, animations and all that stuff. And they're like, oh, they don't never have to learn all that stuff. No, Akira Toriyama, the creator of Dragon Ball Z character, he learned how to draw like mechanical stuff. He know how to draw like human figure like no other people's business. Once you know how to do all the character model or all the anatomy correctly, then you can play around with it. You can squeeze inside and all that stuff. That's where the artistry comes from. Like Picasso didn't just start it as a Picasso. He actually started as a realistic painter all throughout his school year. And then later in his year that he actually tried to transform into cubism and all that stuff because he has a backbone of traditional painting and drawing and stuff. So all the stuff, to be a better artist, you need to have all this fundamental. There's no quick, fix. It's really funny that I keep saying this, but it is true. And if you want to be where you want to be, you need to have a fundamental.
No, that's there is a question for Mugen.
Oh, I didn't get any coffee yet.
And well, there's your answer. He did not get any coffee. In fact, I don't think any of us got any coffee yet.
Well, they bring coffee up here?
No. Unfortunately, they don't want coffee all over the microphones. But
Okay.
But if you have any suggestions, Dave, maybe we can get some coffee afterwards.
Yay!
We're willing to try different coffees. I don't know.
How many people are watching anyway?
Ooh.
Yay!
hey out there in TV land.
Hello.
So I guess maybe ask if there's any last questions and we can.
All right.
Sure.
Wrap things up.
All right. So if anyone out there who's watching right now has any questions, you better ask them now because we're gonna start wrapping up.
Oh, go back. See that dog with a key in his
Yeah.
head? That was actually the reminiscent of the Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
All right. So Pillow asked, how long does storyboarding take to produce? So I guess I don't know. Like, how long would it take to draw one of these?
Just to draw this, it's probably gonna there's a multiple step. Like throughout the meeting, I'll jot down the notes, and then I reuse those drawing to actually put it in a context. So I would have the actual Grandmother Willow drawing or layout picture from Disney, because we're right at the Disney, so I could get any pictures I want without no question asked. And I could use that as a reference, and I start drawing it with a blue and a red pencil, because if I put in too many colors in, it's kind of hard to see what's going on.
So very clear.
So I keep all the characters a red pencil drawing, and then all the layout as the the green, blue, and and then use green to just accent some stuff. So that's mostly what it is. So something like this will probably like 8 hours.
Ooh.
Yeah, because this is like a cleanup of original rough drawing. So I did exactly like this in a rough format, and after that I have to go in there and clean up the drawings a lot finer line.
Yeah, here's our it's the same pictures we were showing before, but this is
Grandmother Willow.
So yeah, like all these pages we were showing before, and he says 8 hours for each of these, and like, how many of these did you have to draw?
They said 64 puzzles.
So around oh geez.
Yep.
You do the math out there. That is not a short amount of time, but they look great. So
yeah, we're gonna post them on the wherever, so you guys actually could see it in a much better detail than.
Yeah, we'll tweet these out, because it's like, unfortunately when we hold it up from here, you like can't hardly see anything. So
cool thing about these drawings, like whenever I showed it to my like a video game interview, and I get really good review from it, because like I always put that as my part of my portfolio, so people actually get a chance to see. It's like, wow, you worked on the 16-bit era. It's like, yes, I'm old.
I mean, no, that kind of thing is always impressive. especially like to me and stuff, because it's like these are the games that I love the most. These older ones, these pixel ones. So it's like it's always cool to meet someone who's actually worked on them. Because
I'm glad that you guys have me. I don't know who wanted to hear me about talking about 16-bit, but I mean, I'm glad some people love it. So that's awesome. Hey, there's a Mega Man element right there.
Oh yeah, the disappearing blocks. Yeah, I wonder, because it's like you were saying, that Pocahontas was inspired by like flashback, by that kind of stuff. So it's like I do always wonder, it's like, do they look at what other games and do they pull from those, or did they just happen to come up with the same idea?
No, I mean, the original producers from Disney Interactive and the Virgin Interactive, they saw the sale. I guess they saw the sales of like how well Flashback did, the Genesis. So I just don't know why they couldn't make it into the Genesis. I mean, Super Nintendo version. I guess because of time, or they wanted to switch over. Maybe they didn't think. Maybe Pocahontas didn't do well. Video game didn't do well on the market, so maybe that's why. Because like they would always go with the first SKU, which was Genesis, was a lot more popular than Super Nintendo back then. So they'll go with the Genesis system first, and then they do the conversion for the Super Nintendo. Whether they do it or not, I don't remember. So they wait and see like how well it did, and then they're gonna port it over to a Super Nintendo. But I guess it didn't happen that way.
Well, yeah, because I'm not sure, because it's like it got reviewed really well. I'm actually not sure how well it sold or not, but
yeah, on GamePro it was like a 7.5, or GameFan did something.
I was thinking like a lot of 9s and 10s, but maybe that was more for like the art direction.
Yeah. We got really good review by the art direction, like animation wise, because like, it is like, what it is. But as far as like a game wise, the gameplay is still kind of clunky in a way, because it's not immediate gratification. You have to sit through, and you have to. It's a lot slower paced than, like, let's say, Aladdin or the Lion King video game.
It's always difficult merging animation with the actual gameplay, because you have to choose your battles there, where it's like, do you make it a beautiful long animation, or do you make it, like you said, immediate response?
So another thing that I would want to mention is like Pocahontas is a completely departure from what Disney normally do, like fairy tale, and now they're jumping into like more realistic, like adult theme.
So yeah, that was one thing I read it, because it's like, even though it had animals in the movie and stuff, they didn't talk like in the other movies.
Yeah, they just make sure they cut out all the animal talking. Only like magical element is like a Grandmother Willow.
Right, exactly. She sticks out.
Yeah, she sticks out, and it's beautifully animated anyway. Mark Ken animated Grandmother Willow. He's an amazing animator as well. So sorry.
No.
So it was like Disney's departure from like becoming more not adult, but like a lot older audience type of a animated movie. So after Pocahontas, there was a Hunchback of Notre Dame. Like,
oh yeah,
that's a difficult challenge too. Notice we don't actually have a Hunchback of Notre Dame video game.
not that I know.
We were working on it for Saturn. I'm telling you. It's whether they're gonna believe me or not, or they're gonna find out like Disney police will come down at me.
Why would they not believe?
Yeah. So I actually get a chance to meet with the director of the film, and then we were talking about what Saturn version of the Hunchback of Notre Dame will be, like how Quasimodo will be. I mean, he's a physical character who could do a lot of acrobatic stuff. He's running down the cathedral and sliding down the things. There's a lot of gameplay element there, and I was like loving that stuff. So I was actually doing some a preliminary design for the game as well. So I would love to have that happen. We had a meeting with them, and they really love. They are all video gamers too, so they love what Saturn was coming around. But I guess turns out like Saturn didn't become a huge hit.
No, it's like, that would be the Saturn.
Yeah, and at the same time, like Hunchback of Notre Dame did a big time either. So like from Pocahontas to Hunchback, the Disney's animation was just keep dropping as far as like audience wise, because they're not really keening for the kids audience. So it was going. So
they like the talking animals.
Yeah, so kids really like that stuff, and it's really hard to gravitate over to this kind of like more adult related jokes and all that stuff. So even though Disney was trying different thing than what they normally do, so hey, I think that's one of the reasons the game only existed for one medium, rather than having it for all the medium out there.
No, yeah. I think, Dave, I guess, was asking if you were excited about Cuphead bringing back animation. What do you think of Cuphead?
Oh, Cuphead is gorgeous. Gameplay is really good too. It's hard enough, but like challenging enough. If you did something where it's your fault, not the game fault, so you can't blame the game. And a lot of animations done in like traditionally, which is, not these days. It's really hard to see. And I think like if you think about Battleborn, we actually embrace that 2D animation into the effects, which is awesome. And I actually get a chance to work on like 2D animation in the game as well, which is awesome too. And Cuphead actually embodied the entire, the Max Fleischer animation into their whole art style. And I mean, they got what they deserve, and I'm really glad. And a lot of people that I know from feature animation, they worked on it too. So I'm like, oh, it's like kudos for my friends as well.
Hey, that's great.
Yeah, so maybe next time they'll call me and help them work. Yeah,
Cuphead too.
Yeah, I could do a lot of drawings. I've done a lot of drawings with the other games for 2D too, so I could help. But anyway, Cuphead was like a fresh up. I mean, like, people think it might not make it because it was on hold or keep pushing it back because of production, whatever. And it's a harder game to make, even though you can finish it in how many hours? Like 5 to 6 hours, even less than that.
Yeah, I would think even shorter than that.
But think about that. To make a 3 to 4 hour game, they have to spend 3 to 7 years.
Oh,
Yeah, Cuphead was in production for 7 years.
Yeah.
The actual production time probably about a lot less, maybe like 2 to 3 years. But actually coming up with the idea to the fruition took a lot longer. So a lot of people think that it happened like that. No. Oh boy.
Oh, it just came out of nowhere.
Let me tell you, just a hand-drawn drawing, one frame of a hand-drawn drawing takes 30 to 40 minutes to finish. That's just one frame. How many frames in the game or in the movie? So if you think about Pocahontas, it's like an 80-minute, and there's a 24 frame per second. 24 frames of animation frame per second. So compute that, and then you can see how many hand-drawn animations are embedded in there. And then not all the scene is just one character. Some scene has a lot of characters. So I actually had a chance to work on settlers walking into the forest, like a musical sequence. There's about 30 characters running through the forest from perspective from small to the big like this, and coming into the camera shot.
Yeah.
And the paper was like this big, and I had to flip like this. I did like one drawing a day.
Oh my goodness.
Because all these characters running and singing and walking and with the shovels on his back, and oh boy, yeah, think about that. It's a labor of love, and it's a labor of like it shows. That's why the Disney tradition and animation looks how it is even now. Even kids still love it because of that reason. It's a workmanship, it's a draftsmanship, and it's a work of art, and it'll like time tested, and it still looks beautiful.
It's worth it.
Mm-hmm. I think that's one of the reasons 2D animated game actually lasts a lot longer. It looks still good compared to like a 3D. Like if you look at Toshinden from PlayStation 1 nowadays, you'd be like, ew, what is that? It's like a box of a cube. But back then when it came out, everyone was so impressed, right? But when you look at it now with the modern games with a whole bunch of new designs and Borderlands and all that stuff, and they look at it compared to that, it's like, wow, we came a long way. But if you look at 2D games made in like 20 years ago, you still amazed.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because the traditional animation quality, character design, all that stuff is still shining through because all hand-drawn stuff. So hand-drawn stuff have a lot longer lasting power, I think.
No, I agree. So Fui was asking, I know that you said that you started out in illustration. He asked what inspired you to get into animation, because it's like, I know you said you started in illustration, but was there something that...
Oh yeah, there's a good story. So I was taking, I went to school in New York. It's a School of Visual Art. They still have a school over there. It's one of the famous art school in New York City, all the world. And I was taking history class. We have a humanity class as well, but it's all art related, so art history, whatever. But one of the history class I had to take was a history of animation. Like my friends said, oh, it's an easy credit. You watch cartoon all day and you write like 2 essays per like semester. It's like, okay, good. And then from that process, I get to learn about how all the 2D animation was made. From like Max Fleischer, you know, the old Winsor McKay animation and all that stuff. So we get to learn all that stuff. So I get to learn what go through to make this 2D animation. It's a fascinating process. You basically are making a magic with the film magic, and then just cheating, and then making it alive. It's really fascinating thing. And then one of the assignment we had to do, we have to watch Disney-made film, Disney-made animated film, and then we have to find out how is it different than original story, like original like Hans and Christian story from Little Mermaid, how they convert that into the mass popular art. Yeah, so we have to watch Little Mermaid. Little Mermaid just came out in movie theater. So I like midday, you know, I was waiting for the next class to start, so I had to go watch the film and write about the article. And when I went in, there was like a midday, and there were a whole bunch of, you know, kindergartners and screaming and yelling. I was in the second balcony. I was all alone in the midday. What kind of adult would watch, you know, the Disney Little Mermaid all by themselves? So I was watching it, and I was like, just like, okay, let's just get through this. And boy, oh boy, I was so blown away. All the animation, music, from beginning of the scene to at the end of the scene, I was just like mesmerized and just blown away to the bits. And I was like, wow, this is mind-blowing. This is like the most entertaining and most, you know, amazing thing that I've seen as a work of art. Yeah. Glenn King was a head animator, beautiful story, and they did a marvelous job with like all the characters. And it's a tragic story, but Disney made it into a happy ending. Because mass medium, like Hollywood picture, they want a happy ending of everything anyway, right? So that prospect I understood, but the workmanship, the artistry, the animation, the art, oh, it just like blew me away. And lo and behold, like a couple weeks later, we found out Disney's coming to SBA and gonna look at they're gonna interview some selectees. So we have to submit our portfolio to our illustration department. So they'll select, you know, like 20 people to show it to Disney people. So they'll review our work, and they'll select whomever going to be next internship. So they were selecting about 18 to 20 people for summer internship, Disney summer internship, which is paid about like 3 months of a Disney paid internship. And they go through all the school in America and other countries and stuff. So they're looking over from 5,000 plus people, and they're picking like 20 people for a semester. So I'm like, it's a bad chance, but I'm gonna go for it.
Right. Yeah.
So that's how it all started.
I mean, yeah, that's crazy. Just going from Little Mermaid, like you said, which was sort of the beginning of these, it's like right into Pocahontas. It's like Pocahontas wasn't that much later, so.
Yeah. Maybe 2 pictures later then.
Yeah. So.
No. 3 pictures later. Beauty and the Beast.
Oh yeah, Beauty and the Beast.
Aladdin, and then Lion King. So and then the Pocahontas came to that. So the Pocahontas 33rd Disney feature.
Yeah, that's so. Yeah, no, that's incredible. All right, so there were a few questions I missed, I think. I know someone was asking, like, about if there's anything you ever heard about them, like, pushing the system's limits, if you ever had to do that sort of thing where, like, you had to cheat how the Genesis worked to get certain things to work.
Yeah. The developer will actually give us the stream playing something, or...
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure. Oh, yeah. The Disney Interactive will give us a code later on. So we were asking for we need a better process to actually review the game rather than playing the game all the time. So they actually gave us a code.
Yeah.
And it's not like it's really not easy back then. Everything has to be coded, and they have to burn the ROM. So every process like a step that you go through to even make that happen, and they have to you know. The term baking or cooking, it actually came from that, because you're actually burning the microchip, and they're not easy, they're not cheap either. So every time you burn a chip, you can't remake it either. It's like read only kind of thing. So everything has to be worked out that way. And then to get that delivered to us from Funcom, which in Norwegian, and then come to United States and Florida, it takes a long time. So all these things, the wish list has to go through all the demand and all that stuff, all the pipeline. So it was really hard to get it, but once we have that system set up, it was a lot easier to process the reviewing process and all that stuff. And later on, they actually even made an in-game animation review thing. That's what I remember. It was like embedded into the game. Later on, they either have to take it out entirely from the game development, so no one can see it.
Right.
But the sound test is pretty much what that was for. Like nowadays, you have an option to listen to all the sound and stuff, but that was there for people could listen to the music, make sure that it's delivering what it's supposed to be. And they did have that for. Hey, look at that!
There you go.
Yeah,
debug menu.
Yeah, so you have a debug menu to look at all the animations and all that stuff. So so it was really interesting era. I don't know if that answered the question.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. I forgot there was one more. I thought I can't remember what it was though on there.
Ask that question again if you haven't heard your answer yet.
This is your last chance out there for a question. Okay. I know generally people were asking some other things like what do you think of like Kingdom Hearts and stuff.
Oh yeah, I love it. I played all the Kingdom Hearts so far. As far as I know, they actually send all their character models, all the animations and stuff. They send it to Disney. Well, now I don't know who handles now because Disney Interactive kind of like disappeared. So they actually have to go through all the Disney animators and make sure they observe the animation, make sure they deliver correctly, mouse shape, all the animations and all that stuff. So they go through the process, make sure that all things are delivered. All the artwork they make, they have to go through the incredible process of reviewing process to the Disney artists and Disney animators, make sure it is exactly what Disney would approve. Wow. So all the art that Kingdom Hearts was any Disney involvement in there, all the art has to go through the feature animation process as well. So that's for sure.
All right, cool. So they asked it again. So I guess two more questions.
Sure.
The first one is what is your favorite character to draw? And I guess that's just overall out of every character, what's your favorite to draw?
I mean, I've drawn a lot of characters.
Well, maybe we should limit it more to Pocahontas then. What's your favorite Pocahontas character?
Pocahontas. I've drawn her so many times. It's unbelievable.
Well,
Yeah, because the entire game concept, I had to draw her like running, walking, and all that stuff. But like a lot of people ask me to draw Stitch. Even though I worked on Lilo and Stitch, I rarely worked on Stitch because like I was assigned to do Lilo. Lilo actually had more footage than Stitch does, so the Lilo unit is actually bigger, and they need the people who could do a lot more drawings a lot faster. So that's why I was in Lilo unit, and I love Lilo, and I've done a lot of Lilo drawings. But a lot of people ask me if I do a Stitch drawing. That's fine too. Like we all train the exact the same way. So if I have a reference, I could draw Stitch very well. Even my kids love Stitch. So I've done a lot of Stitch drawing for other people, and I guess I'm getting accustomed to it. So that's pretty cool. And another character I just generally draw whenever I go to some the talk or guest speaker for like high school or middle school, talk about my industry experience or something. I usually draw Mater. It's like I get a chance to work on like Disney storybook. So. Right. I do a lot of like Disney storybook drawings. So the Cars was like my main thing. So Cars 1 and Cars 2, I did like a ton of drawings for the storybook. Like if you look at golden books for Cars, you can probably see my name as a character.
Stores.
Yeah, character. So if you find like a collection edition or something, yeah, you can see my name in it. So I did a lot of books for that. So I've done a ton of drawing for Mater, and not to mention I actually do CG modeling as well. So I get to know how Mater was built correctly. And my buddy who was an anti-hero 197 Scuba, he wanted to make Mater, so I actually helped him make sure that he's on model, and so that was a kind of cool thing. So I think Mater is one of the characters I usually draw without looking at a model sheet because I've done it so much. So yeah.
All right, and so I guess just one more question and that is they were asking is like, do you do school seminars? Do you have advice for future artists? Do you go out and teach people how to draw it now?
I don't have any place that I teach. I usually do it because I got people request. Some people ask me to come and talk about it and stuff, then I do it. My kid, she's in the art class in her high school, and her high school art club was having some kind of award ceremony, and they were asking me if I could come in and talk about, the guest speaker. So I talk about what I went through, and I just talked about kind of briefly what I talked about during the Twitch. So they really loved it, and I was like, oh, okay, I guess it's really cool. Because it's really hard to see Disney people who actually worked in Disney film. Yeah. So it's kind of eye-opening for a lot of students and parents as well. So I've done that, and whenever Gearbox go to the different school, or when we do any kind of interview or some guest speaker or something, then I tag along and I talk about my experience a little bit here, there, and too. So nothing official yet.
Right, and not formal things, but a lot of informal.
Yeah, informal things. So that's some of the stuff that I do. I do teach drawings internally at our studio, and people I know, my friends and whomever who wants to get better at drawing, figure drawings, I teach them how to draw. So I actually talked about it too.
I may know something, but no.
So Press Start is like learning how to draw much better now. So I'm hoping that he's gonna continue to come to more figure drawing. So we'll get your stuff even better looking. So every time he posts his drawings on the Twitch or the Twitter, I'm like, I'm gonna keep poking at him too. It's like tangents, watch for tangents. I'm trying to become like a little bit more mentor kind of person for your drawing to get better.
I've got a long ways to go, but thanks to you, I'm working on it.
So along with that, to get better at artists, you have to draw every day, and I don't think if you're drawing to make money, you probably lose sight of it. You know what I mean? If you're drawing because you love to draw, I think that's where you're gonna take it.
Oh yeah.
I mean, every day of my life, I don't work. I love what I do, and every day of my life is not working at all. If you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. That's what I am. Because even though the money, I had to make money for my family and all that stuff, but since the stuff that I do is what I dreamed about doing from my early age, and then I'm doing my dream stuff, like making video games, making animation, making art. Every day I get to draw and stuff. So it's a really amazing thing that I get to do, and I'm so happy that people love what I do. So I get to be where I am because of that reason. So I'm thankful for that. Thank you, Dave. But so you have to have a passion for it, and I want to tell you, there's no shortcuts. If you want to get better at it, you have to work at it. So some people born with a talent. Like I could say I was born with a little bit of artistic talent. But then again, if you don't work at it, you're just gonna stay that way. You're not gonna get progress any further. So you see a lot of musical geniuses, right? Little kids, like 5 years old, they play music like insanely amazing. You're like, but as far as like a musical people to listen to it, it's like a chore. They're just copying someone else, and they're not good at it either. They have no artistic talent yet. Because the normal people will hear it, they think, oh, this is amazing because they 5 years. But real artistry comes from experiences and stuff. So that needs to come through throughout the learning process. Sometimes you have to forget, you have to unlearn what you learned. It's kind of like a Mr. Miyagi kind of thing. But it is true. You have to drop what you learn and start relearning things from the scratch. Going back to like I talked about it before, going back to figure drawing, learning fundamental stuff. Don't look at anime too much. Anime is awesome as an art form right now, but to become an anime, you need to learn how to do fundamental stuff. So that's what people forget. So if you're copying a copy of a copy, you're gonna always end up being a copy anyway. So and then there's worse at it too. You cannot make a copy better than an original copy one. So if you want to be original, go back to the original source. What you see with your own eyes, not the photograph. You look at the character, look at the people in the cafe, or walking around the stores. Just sit down somewhere in the mall and watch people converse with each other. Draw a story moment, like what's going on with their minds, how they're looking, how they're sitting, how they're eating. Do all that stuff. These kind of stuff, all the Pixar animators, Disney animators, they still do. They go out there in a while, they videotape or they draw in a cafe. people reacting and stuff, all these animators, they study that. So that's how they get better. Because you start to understand little nuances of what this does and what that does, and the reason behind movement of this and movement of that. It's not from here to here. It's this. This is what more makes the animation. It's not moving this thing to here. To get to from to here, how fast it has to move and all this. This all come from experience. So you have to learn all that stuff throughout the process. So the book that I mentioned, The Illusion of Life, will teach you all about animation principle better than any teacher out there. So if you're afraid of you can't afford to go to art school or animation school, that's a definite way to do it. Because I told you about the proof. Byron Howard, he studied animation book all by himself, and he's a director now. So there. So don't give me the thing about saying, oh, I don't have money to go to art college. Nah, you can do it on your own. Nowadays, YouTube is like everywhere. So you can download a tutorial, you can read about it, all you need is a paper and pencil. Just go out there and staple, buy a whole patch of paper and get a pencil, 2B pencils, and then start drawing from real life. Don't copy from computers or something. That's only for the reference if you're doing illustration stuff. But if you actually want to get better at figure drawings or drawing better stuff, draw from real life, even still life. Put the stuff on your desk and just start drawing that and find the beauty in what you see. So that's what I would recommend. And I'd recommend that to most of my friends who wanted to be better artists, and they become a better artist because all those process. So there's no easy way. There's no shortcuts. Just keep doing drawing every day. That's what I do all day too.
All right. Well, Pillow says thank you very much for that advice.
Hey, you're welcome.
Should we go and draw and wrap things up?
Sure.
We've been through a lot of questions, a lot of good advice, and like you said, it shows that this is what you love doing. So
yeah,
great work on all of this. Yes. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for having me.
This is great for us.
Yay! I'm glad you loved it. I wasn't sure.
Oh,
no.
Dave won the giveaway.
Well, that's not gonna work.
Oh no, it should work. It definitely should work. It's work.
Well, Seung accepts that. I guess.
I accept that.
All right.
Oh yeah.
I guess if he entered, he must have really wanted it.
So.
All right. Well, congrats, Dave. Draw again. Should I draw one more? There we go. No.
I don't know. I it's up to you guys. It's your show. You do whatever. I'm just an artist.
I'll draw one.
You're welcome.
Space Kiss.
There we go.
Oh. Yeah.
We'll go ahead and say Space Kiss.
Okay. So talk to the person, Space Kiss, and then ask them about, the actual process of what that drawing is going to be. And then we'll talk about it after the show.
All right. Well, we know Space Kiss pretty well, so I think we'll be able to figure it out pretty easily.
Cool.
I did want to say, obviously we are wrapping up and stuff. Is there anyone you want to give shout outs to or anything?
Shout out to my family. My beautiful two-daughter Angelina Krishna. They're in a play at her high school now. They're violin, viola, and cello so they're doing an excellent job. So they couldn't see the show, but I'm hoping they'll see it later. My lovely wife, of course, and you guys, press start, and I mean, awesome opportunity for me to talk about my boring upbringing.
Quite the opposite.
Yeah, and all my friends from my Facebook and my past co-workers who join in to watch me mumble. Thank you very much, and congratulations, Dave and Swiss Kiss. They're winning, and I don't know what else I could. I mean, I could talk forever, but just love what you do and keep pressing. If you don't do anything, you're not gonna get anywhere, right? So
I think that's solid advice. The best advice.
So keep doing what you love to do.
All right. Well, I guess that. Are we saying bye? This is how we say goodbye.
I am going to say bye, but they probably can't hear me very well.
Oh, right. Well,
time to say goodbye.
Adios.
MICKUYUSC.
Very
shout out
nice
to
connection.
Mugen Sure.
Yeah.
Bye all.
Bye. Bye, Nerdvana Coffee.
Thank you, Nerdvana Coffee.
The show's over.